Alright everybody, it's our Clow here, and I've got a really great video for you today. I want to talk about this article which is discussing Adele's recent proclamation of, excuse me, Beyonce as Jesus fucking Christ. And of course, if you haven't seen the whole set of videos I've been putting out talking about Beyonce and a number of individuals being prime candidates for an occult blood sacrifice in the near distant future here, of course lending towards a cataclysmic set of events to transpire, be sure to check out those videos. They are very fascinating and make a very compelling case up until this point with their connections to the Kennedy assassination and, as I just stated, the future as well. And so with that, let's jump right in here because there is a lot I want to cover in a short period of time today. So just take a look at this article here and see that it was published on May 6th, and this now, I'm sure, infamous quote to some people was said in Copenhagen that week on Tuesday. So that was the 3rd, and we're going to look into that. Of course, just notice here reference to Queen Bey, and again, just notice there that is 5 letters and 3 letters, that 5-3, just like the date. Just like the age of Anthony Kiedis, recently hospitalized on a date, May 14th, that I said would be important. And so we're going to talk more about all of that. But again, just look at the article some more here. I'll leave you the link so you can check out the video if you want to. But it's interesting because she's giving her all this praise for this, the connections to Black Lives Matter and as a civil rights figure. And of course, that is something that I have been outlining as one of the codes for someone that they're going to take out. All right. So now, again, let's jump back here. Notice she said this on the 3rd of May, so you can look at that as 3-5 or 5-3, and it was the 124th day of the year. So it's very interesting because 124 is the simple value for coming soon. And again, this is from the Land trailer, which is Erykah Badu's upcoming film I've talked extensively about. But here you have a clip from that, or just a little still shot here. But do notice the inverted 35 speed limit sign there, all right? Referencing not only the number 35, but the number 53 as well. And we could reduce it down to 8 and talk about that. But so for now, though, again, see that 5-3 and how all of that connects up. Do notice the coding for that on the right there, but I have talked about it in the past, and I do want to move relatively quick today. So notice there is 242 days remaining, and again, this ties into the coding from the Family Guy stuff that I showed you. Again, very fascinating, very compelling, and you do see how all of this is deeply interconnected if you watch my videos. Of course, you do see reference to Fall of the United States, Brotherhood of Saturn, and Humanity's Tombstone. So now let's look at, take a look at the actual quote here. She is Jesus fucking Christ. And so notice there the Jewish value of 1752 is the same as But You Can't Use My Phone, which was the last Erykah Badu album. Again, I've been talking about her extensively, her window seat music video especially, in which she is assassinated in Dealey Plaza, and remember the remix I talk about as well with Rick Ross, in which she is reincarnated and they then go on a killing spree. So lots of interesting stuff there. But so again, just take a look at this here. You do see the UN nukes world, as well as reference to all voting is treason in the US, and just again, just a reference there that voting is just a completely arbitrary process in the US. It is not at all representative of the people. You should know that by now. So now look down below here because you do see very interesting connections to deadly apocalypse injections and then the phrase Centers for Disease Control. Okay, I also think it's interesting because you see is a mystery as deep as the sea, and so a lot to be said here. Again, you can look into this date, 17th of August. I've left some coding for you there. It is very interesting because with 136 days left in the year, there is the same value. Let's see if we can pull it up for you here. There you go, same simple value as civil rights. Again, as I've been saying, a very key component here and key part of the coding, but we'll talk about that more and its connection to the idea of Antichrist here in a moment. But let's keep going. So as we showed, Jesus fucking Christ was one of the ways in which it was quoted there in the article, but do see here that that Jewish value of 1550, again, a very important number all around, but it is the same as Judas be my God. Guide. And again, you can see here on the right that the English and symbols for that, you do see Freemasonry as well as Imperial Cult. Now notice here you do have reference to Dallas Love Field. Again, that's where Kennedy was heading from when he was assassinated. So very interesting stuff. And I do want to note with Judas Be My Guide, that was off of Iron Maiden's Fear of the Dark album. And again, released on May 11th, 5 times 11, that 55 comes up again and again and again. I cannot overstate the critical importance of that number. But notice the song Judas Be My Guide is track 10 by Dickinson and Murray. Again, 4/4, that kill magic number. And the length is 306. And so please know that this ties in directly with everything that I've been talking about lately with the number 36. And again, remember all the Truman Show stuff I was talking about, but the 36 triangular number is indeed 666, and so all of the hidden coding with that in immense significance. It is where the compass of current grandmasters of the Freemason Lodge is set to 36 degrees, and again, so the importance of that is really quite endless. So you did see here that it is just the same as Judas My Guide, not Be My Guide, but because that is the chorus for that, again, repeated again and again and again, getting all of that energy. But take a look at the lyrics for this song, right? Just reference to lights out, living in a world of darkness, everything's up for sale, the world is burning, and it's exactly the world that we're living in now, and so a lot of troubling stuff there, to say the least. But you do see reference to 1111, again, that number 22, very important, as that was the day that Kennedy was assassinated. It's also the paths of that are in the tree of life, so on and so forth. Eliphas Levi was 22 when the enthroned Washington statue, again EW55, was put up. This is all stuff I've talked about in the past, but it is very significant. Also, just remembering it as a master builder number. All right, so now keep going here for this coding. You see the end justifies the means, as well as sudden destruction, rapture, and the number 1546. Now this is really, really outstanding, because you do see that is the same Jewish value as 411 Elm Street, the street on which Kennedy was assassinated on. All right, so you do see reference to an organized terrorist attack, as well as executive order, the White Horse Rider. Look down below, you see reference to secret societies, the 777, the Illuminati project, and the Large Hadron Collider accident. So really, really stunning stuff there, to be frank. And notice here you do see the purpose of human existence, duality of consciousness, all right, all of these key concepts. Now notice the English and simple values are the same as Walter Leland Cronkite. Of course, he was the one who announced to the nation that the president was dead. And you also see it's the same as hot dogs, baseball, and apple pie. And again, I'm trying to reiterate to you how closely this ties in with everything having to do with the land and the date, January 29th. Again, you can see mirrored in the window here that phrase, hot dogs, baseballs, apple pie, but do note that with that you see true holy angel of death, morning star, Lucifer, as well as September 11 attack. And remember, I'm talking about 9/11, 9 times 11, 99 attack. All right, all the coding I've showed you with that. Look at impossible coincidences, as well as the beast of Revelation, key to the apocalypse, and letters as numerals. All right, it's a reference to reveal all of this to you. Now take a look here, because this is really interesting to me. Queen Bey, you do see reference to death of the Antichrist, the date August 5th, and so let's take a quick look at that, because it is the 218th day of the year. And so if we pop that in, do notice that 218 is the same simple value as decoding Beyonce's Lemonade. Again, something I showed you, each word of that is 8 letters, giving us that 888. This is the name of a CNN article. Again, I talked about this extensively, and if we were to look over here, because it is this 1308 is the English value, you drop that 0, that is 138, a Misfits reference, and that will come up again later. But remember the Bullet album, the Kennedy assassination cover. But you see that 1308 is the same J value as 1596, and that was the number of days in between. Let's see if we can pull it up here. There you go. Is the number of days in between the JFK and Martin Luther King assassinations. All right, so immensely important and important stuff in there. But do look at the stuff for 218. You do have Klopothic tree of life. Remember the inverted tree of life, the tree of death, the tree of negative energy, misery, suffering. All of that reference to the number 11, the lust card, everything we've talked about there, so on and so forth. All right, and so again, now looking over here. Back to this August 5th with 148 days remaining. Pop that in here, and so that does come up as Verizon Arena, and so Erykah Badu is going to be playing there on June 11th, and so that 6 times 11, the 66, the mass importance of that in connections to Skull and Bones, and do notice the English value there is 888, and so definitely something worth considering. Alright, so I'll talk about that more later once I get information on it, but so notice down here though for Queen Bee, the English and simple values are the same as Sasha Fierce and Mike Will, okay, and so of course Sasha Fierce being Beyonce's alter ego, and Mike Will made it as the name there, but Mike Will being the producer for Formation. Again, I've shown you a tremendous amount of information on them, and so now take a look through here because you do have reference towards terror, esoteric, the miracle, and the phrase do the math. Alright, so very interesting because if we did the math on these English and simple values here, you see it does come up as that 444, which I've shown you now all over the place, and you do see its reference there to Order of Thelema, head mind control, and I will show you because it has come up excuse me, in the more recent videos here as well. It is the coding for Tony, which is Anthony from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, one of his known nicknames, as well as Susan, who was the only writer for Erykah Badu's official fan site. Again, Susan, an anagram for as son. Alright, but so now let me keep moving. Because I've covered all of that, you can see these English values over here. Again, the immensely important figures referenced in there, religious figures as well as concepts such as occult, nuclear, fire and ice. Alright, again, dualities. Now, take a look over here because we're down to this phrase of Beyonce X. And so this is still this same article, but this is Adele saying this weird thing about giving her worship. You see here, Beyonce is the most inspiring person I've ever had the pleasure of worshiping. So very, very bizarre to me there. But you see at the end here, she says, thank God for Beyonce X. And so I just think that is odd, odd, odd. And so you see here for Beyonce X, the Jewish value 805 reference to the 3 6s, as well as U.S. Babylon demonic idolatry. Alright, you also see Nightmare on Elm Street. Okay, and remember we had that reference just above there to 411 Elm Street where Kennedy was assassinated. Again, reference to this August. You see Serpent of Enlightenment as well as Holy Sacred Force, and you add this reference here to see Day of Reckoning. So I'm going to show you that in just a minute here, but let's look at the English and simple values. Notice they are the same as after Ford, and remember the connections to Brave New World that I've been talking about. The 9 Years' War said to take place in 2049, which that would be the Gregorian calendar date for that, which is 33 years from now, right? Very important. But notice the English value here, 558, so 55 times 8. Very, very important there because we get the number 440, which is absolutely the Jewish coding for Antichrist, alright? And so that's also the coding for LaShawn Thomas, who I did show you everything with the Sade connections. And so again, notice here you have reference to another false flag, shed blood for man, conspiracies, and the annihilation. Okay, so now the actual English and simple values over here, you do see reference to Saturn, as well as the word, propaganda, atomic bomb, Vishnu, Malcolm X, as well as the aliens, and as dead as a dodo. So now since Beyonce X told us to see Day of Reckoning, let's take a look at it very quickly here. For that, you do see reference to concentration camps, cyber attacks, seal my forehead, as well as reoccurring themes, absolutely what we've touched on throughout here. And the alien agenda is a hoax, all right? Always very interesting to think about these big things just being distractions from even bigger things, all right? So now notice the English and simple values here are the same as to be continued. Remember, TBC is absolutely 223, which is a reference to not only Beyonce Knowles Carter's initials, but is an inverted 322 for skull and bones, all right? Now notice here, 888. Immensely important number. You see love of money, as well as a reference to Freddy Krueger. Again, you see the F is 6, the K is 11, 6 and 11 giving us 66 there, all right? And so again, 66 spelled out, coming up directly next to skull and bones there. I'll pull up a bigger one for you here because it does come up quite a bit. And so let's see here. There you go. So this is one from Pasadena, California. It's got a lot more coding in there for you to take a look at, but notice that's from Freddy Krueger there, a total of 13 letters. The death card, you do have reference to the number 94, which is the same simple value as Mike Will, Sasha Fierce, and as I showed you earlier in this video, Queen Bee as well. So you then see I am the Phoenix, ruler of Earth, the demonic elite, and sublime new era. Alright, so all very, very compelling to say the least. Now let's take a quick look at Adele here because I really think it's interesting that she was born on May 5th. Again, that double 5. And so the Chili Peppers, as I was talking about in my most recent video here, their single for the song, their single off of The Getaway for the song Dark Necessities was released on May 5th, and so you can see that for you right here. Again, the song is 5 minutes and 2 seconds long, but it's interesting to me that Danger Mouse is the new producer for this Red Hot Chili Peppers album. You see he's replacing Rick Rubin after 25 years. Alright, keep that in mind there because it's very important. And so it's interesting that Danger Mouse is also, so that's for hello there. Let me, oh gosh, I hope I have this for you. Sade, nope. Alright, so in any case, if you go and look up Adele's album, yeah, it's not going to give it to me. If you look up her album, 25, it is produced by Danger Mouse. And so something to absolutely keep in mind there. Sorry, that threw me off just a little bit here. So it's interesting. Again, Danger Mouse producing. Gosh, it's not going to give me any of these now, huh? Alright, whatever. So with Danger Mouse producing both of those albums, it is very interesting. Again, Dark Necessities is 5 minutes, 2 seconds long there, and so I did pull that up in the video for you talking about Ketis and all of that. You do see reference to Antichrist Code, He Murders, Great Architect, The Secret Degree, The Purge, The Death Star, Satanic Bigots, all of those things, very interesting. And of course Adele's last album called 25, alright, the inverted 52, and of course as I was discussing in that video, 52 does come up with the devil. You see that down here for her English and simple values of hello. So now let's see here, that album 25 was released on November 11th. November 20th there, November the 11th month, so 11 times 20, we either get 220 or 22 if we drop the 0 off there, and of course, reference to that master builder number again, and all of the things that come up. You see its direct connections here as well, with the MLK and JFK murders, and so always a lot to keep in mind with that. The year reduces down to 8, so we can have that as 228, which does come up as the secret coding for Beyonce. Again, something that they went in and changed after I exposed the jumbledness of that and the twisting things around reference that we get there. But so if we invert it, 822 instant coffee, just like the commercial that aired directly after we learned that JFK had been assassinated. Alright, so now notice Adele's values here, this Jewish value of 35. I think it's very interesting because again, her proclaiming Beyonce to be Jesus fucking Christ on the 3rd of May, and again in the actual trailer here for the land, where we have this inverted 35-53 reference. Again, Ketis is 53. He's in the hospital. And I do want to talk about, sorry I got so jumbled there with all of that, but it is interesting because you notice on when I was showing you the getaway today, they took away the time that's on there, and that's why I was saying I didn't want them to change it on you, because so this is a screenshot from the last video I did, which you should absolutely watch. But notice here the length of the album, 66 minutes and 42 seconds. Obviously 4 and 2 is 6, so that 666 that we get from that right there. Alright, so very, very interesting stuff. I'll pull this up for you on the side over here so you can see all of that coding. Again, you see it is their 11th album, and those references to very important numbers. Again, Freemasons, all of that blood work coming into play. And so notice for Adele, though, back over here, her English in simple values, you do see this 27 coming up. Again, this 27 from the getaway. But notice the reference to Kane, JFK, the word code, and the phrase off. All right, so off. If we reduce these letters, this is 15th letter, 1 and 5 is 6. F is the 6th letter, so that 666 coming up right there. All right, very fascinating. So her song Hello, absolutely huge song for her, reference to Kabbalah. Again, this is a centerpiece for most every esoteric society. And so notice down here the English in simple values are the same as we are, 138. Again, this lead song off of the Misfits Bullet album, which I've showed you a tremendous amount of work on, but you do see again devil, heart, narrow, 6, NWO, as well as abracadabra, earth, and flood. And so abracadabra, just like abrahadabra, is a very, very important phrase. Of course, you can see here magical word coming from the worship of the Gnostic god Abraxas, and so meaning dead body or corpse of Abraxas. All right, and so you see all that fits in there. Very interesting stuff. Of course, you do see that it's coming about in 250 AD. Again, that 52 inversion. All of those very, very dirty connections in there. But so that's all I've really got to say on this. Sorry I stumbled a bit in the middle there, but these connections are very potent. A lot of stuff here to consider, and so very, very interesting stuff. Let me know what you think. Again, I really appreciate everybody taking the time to watch these videos, and thank you to everybody who has subscribed recently. Even if you haven't, if you're just putting these in your playlist, I appreciate that just as well, because you're thinking about the information. Alright, so with that, please be well. If there's something you can think of that you think can actually help the world, do it. Figure out what it is you will do and make it happen. Alright, so let me get off my soapbox there. Thank you again for watching, and please, please be well.